guitar editing and tone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the techniques that are involved and also some of the terminology. So knowing the terminology is helpful when you're trying to understand this stuff, because there's a lot of like science that goes into this. You've got several different elements when you're looking at a single guitar note or a single guitar chord. So the first thing is the pick attack, and that's when the pick hits the string and it creates a percussive sound. Then next you've got the transient of the note, the sustain and the decay of the note, and then the release. And the transition would be either going to a muted silence or going to the next pick attack. You need to determine where they fall in relation to the grid based on the tempo and the performance. And so by looking at the performance and looking at the grid, I'm gonna show you how to basically quantize guitars. That's basically, most of guitar editing has to do with quantizing, because you can control the pitch with your hand and with the tuning pegs. So the idea is to get, when you're recording the guitar part, you want to try and get everything that goes into the computer to be pitch perfect before you keep it. And then after you keep it, you can do the quantizing. I'm going to show you now where those points fall, those parameters. So this slide kind of demonstrates where the pick attack is. It's actually before the note. It's the smallest part on the screen. If you're looking at the guitar performance on the screen, you usually can't even see the pick attack. It almost looks like it's not even there. It's usually in front of the note. And then you've got the transient of the note, and that's the part that you can actually really see. After the transient, you have the sustain and the decay of the note, and then you've got the release and the transition. And a lot of times the release and the transition point is when the hand moves to the next chord or the next fret, and there's usually a noise there of the hand moving. So let's break down a single chord. Starts with a pick attack, then it has a chord or a note developing, the chord or the note sustains, and then you've got decay until the next strike. So we're just kind of zooming in here, and I'm going to show you what to look for. So here's the initial pick attack, which is the percussive sound, and then you can see from the pick attack the string starts to vibrate, and it increases in vibration, and as it vibrates more and more, the chord and the note starts to develop. Then from the highest point of the transient, we have the chord sustaining, and from there it decays down until there is nothing left. So how do we know where to chop the guitar? Where to make the cut so that we can make the edit? We're going to find the pick noise before the transient, and we're going to, actually let me step back. Let's record a guitar part so that we can show this on Cubase. So yeah, let's just do.
I want to introduce our guitar player too.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
I thought we did that.
This is John. Thanks for being here, John. Awesome having you. Tell us the name of your band.
I play in a pop rock band called The Home Team.
Awesome. And can people find your stuff?
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Bandcamp, Amazon, Spotify, all those things.
Awesome.
Just type in The Home Team.
Cool.
Great
Thanks for being
name.
here. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for helping us to demonstrate this guitar stuff. Let's start with the intro riff, I guess.
Sure.
Let's see if we're in tune. Let me bring up the tuner. Play that. Is that string in that first riff?
It's on the 5th one.
Okay. Well, if that riff doesn't use that string, let's just not worry about it. But go ahead and play the riff real quick. Cool. So first thing I noticed, and I want to see, did you guys notice anything about how he played the riff? Maybe actually show them so they can watch you play it. Do you notice anything like wrong about how he's playing the riff?
It seemed like the up pick was a lot softer than the down pick.
What do you think?
I think that maybe the top string shouldn't be ringing out so much when you're doing the other notes.
Exactly. So when you play this note right here, this string is ringing over top of it. And if you actually listen to the actual song, you'll notice that doesn't happen. So when he hits that high note, it's the only thing that's coming through the pickups of the guitar is just the high note. So you don't hear any other noises or anything in there. Yeah, and so even going from that low note to that high note, you can hear how it instantly clamps in tightness. So now just try to do just that. Oh, let me turn you on. So it's really hard, because don't mute the top string, because you're muting it with your. See?
Yeah, I see. Okay.
So every time you hit that high note, the proper way to play it would literally be to mute the top string either with your right hand or with your left hand, which is actually very difficult. Try it. Yeah, so even a riff that's just as simple and catchy as this can be extremely complex to play properly. So if you're working with someone like me, I mean, I'm willing to go in and do whatever it takes to get the part right. So there might be some people who just want to record the artist for however they play, but I have a vision in my head of what I want the riff to sound like, and I want it to be as clean as possible so that you can actually understand every little nuance of the riff itself. And so I'm going to go through great lengths to make sure that every little thing that you play and everything that we end up keeping is perfect. So I might be willing to sit here and mute certain strings as you're playing, or tell you to punch in certain parts and do things that way so that we can get the perfect take. But right now what we'll do is we'll just have you play it to the best of your ability, and I'll just punch you in.
Sure. So how do you do that when, I have a question, how
Sure.
do you do that when you're working with an artist and they come in with their artistic interpretation of that riff, which you have, right? And you're playing it slightly different, but it's not what you have in your head. How do you communicate that in a way that's not, doesn't make them feel bad, or, because you're successful at what you do, and doing this is what makes you successful. But how do you communicate that in a way that's not, that doesn't just frustrate the artist?
Well, the first thing you have to do is really just get on the same level as the artist and have them feel comfortable with you. Because you don't want it to be I'm a big successful guy and you're just a little guitar player.
Right.
You need to level the playing field
Yeah.
first. And I usually just do that by getting to know them, what kind of music do you like? Maybe take them out for a drink first and, just get friendly so that when you do start to make these very almost intense observations and trying to tell them hey, do this, and start to command them and tell them what to do,
Right.
they're going to listen to you a little bit more than before. The other thing is I think that when people come to a producer like me, they already realize we're paying this guy to tell us what we're doing wrong. So they kind of expect to hear what to change. And I think a lot of people, when they work with me specifically, they know that I'm going to rip them apart a little bit. And I think that's what they want anyway. That's what they're paying for.
Yeah.
So usually it's not too awkward, but when you're starting out and you don't really have a reputation, it's a lot more difficult to say, hey, I think you should mute that string, and then the guitar player's like, well, I know what I'm doing, don't tell me what to do. And
Yeah.
so you just got to work with what you got. And if they're not willing to budge, then at least you did your job by trying to convey what's wrong. And if they don't want to accept it, that's fine, because it's ultimately their song. So if they want it to be that way, then that's fine. But let's go ahead and try to record this. Let me make sure I've got a click sound real quick. All right, cool. Okay, so I'm just going to give you 8 counts, and then you'll just come in. Ready?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so we got a performance which is the best of his ability, at least for right now, because he's very well rehearsed. Now, if you're working with someone, you might try that a couple more times and try to get like a little bit of a better take. But I'm going to show you that even with just that one take that we just did, we can still do quite a bit of stuff with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of look at his timing and look at it in relation to the grid. So I can see he's dragging a little bit on a couple parts, and I kind of feel like he might be able to do it a little tighter if I have him try it again. So I'm just going to go ahead and have you try it again. Oh wait, that's too many counts. Here we go. Now I noticed when he switched to the guitar part that goes, it was hard for his hand to get there fast enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go through and cut those parts out first. And I just know where they are because I was watching the screen as he played, so I kind of know what it looks like when he does it. So it happens twice. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to give you a click. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I want you to play just that part. See, now he was able to play it a lot cleaner because that's the only thing he had to worry about. So I can just cut that part out, put it into place. Sounds way better than what we had before. Let's go back and look at the beginning. So yeah, that high note that plays has that low note ringing over top of it. You can hear it's almost like a chord. I want to just punch just that in. Yeah, so I'm going to give you a 4 count, and then you just play it after 4. So he just plays just that note, and what I'm going to do is see how he played it a little bit late. What you can do is you can cut, just cut out the 2 spots, because you want this to be, this is basically going to be a quarter note. So you make a cut at the beginning of a quarter note, and then make a cut at the end of the quarter note. And then what you can do by using the slip technique, or the slip tool, You can actually just move notes inside of the events. I like to think of guitar parts as like musical notation, like how long every note is, if it's a quarter note, if it's a half note. And I make all of my edits exactly to the grid and then move the audio around inside of the event. So now we've got that little piece, put it in place. And then I'm going to go through and find every place where he plays it and just replace it. Okay, now there's another high note, this one. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is just also punch that in.
Sure.
And that's it. And then I just cut it out, and I'm going to zoom in and make sure it's in place. And then go find all the spots where that is and replace it. So at this point, I'm starting to notice certain parts of the riff that are played better than the others. So I'm going to basically hit play and listen for where I start to hear little sections that I think are a little bit better than the others, because he's playing the same thing multiple times. So if I go in and I listen through everything that he played and I find the parts that are best, I can cut those out and then use those as copy and paste into the riff. So I'm going to find the best one that goes like this, because there's several of those. Let's see. So I don't really like any of them, so I'm going to just have you punch in one.
So which riff?
It's the da-na-na-na. Yeah. So I'm gonna just leave a click going,
Okay.
and I want you to just play it over and over, but leave space in between each one. So
Sure.
instead of going da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, just leave a little bit of a gap in between each one.